Hello, my name is Dylan with the anime summary. After saving Shia's village and departing, Hajime, Yui, and Shia are sitting down between mountains with Hajime looking at the map to see where they go next. Hajime tells Yui that the labyrinth they want to enter is somewhere located in Rising Gorge. Shia jogs away embarrassed by the fact that she doesn't have anything to powder her nose, and she tells them that she found something between the rocks and to hurry over. Shia walks into the area to see a pink sign at the end of the cave. A voice starts playing around the cave welcoming them to the Miladi's Risen's labyrinth. Before moving, Hajime asks Yui to confirm that it's a real labyrinth and says yes, reading it in Oscar's notes. Carelessly, Shia goes off to investigate around the cave and falls into a trapdoor. In the labyrinth, Hajime is shooting his revolver in the dark, destroying stuff being launched at him. After taking out the traps, he asks Yui where Shia is and looks over to the side to see she peed herself holding onto the rocks for dear life. She pleads with him not to look, feeling embarrassed. They all three look at the tombstone over there where writing appears and the voice asks if they're scared now. Shia brings out her hammer Hajime made for her and smashes the metal, blocking the door deeper into the labyrinth. After breaking it, Hajime and Yui both realize that the Risen labyrinth is just a gimmick and wasn't a part of the Liberators at all. While walking through the hallway, Hajime wonders if the place would actually be a labyrinth and is surprised that it is. He accidentally steps onto a trapped tile and the doors around him suddenly close. A boulder from across the halls falls onto their floor and starts approaching them. Yui tries using Crimson Javelin at the boulder but assumed right, not being able to use magic while being in the labyrinth. Hajime uses his revolver and shoots around at the boulder, destroying it, but multiple boulders appear behind it. Shia tells them to move out of the way and hammers the boulders away, into the walls, clearing the path for the group. Further down the hall, saw blades emerge from the walls, blocking their path coming towards them. Shia goes towards the blades and blocks it with her hammer, allowing Hajime and Yui to get by. While in the hallway, Hajime is carrying Yui. Also following behind, she is repeatedly being bombarded by pans hitting her while running through. She misses the jump and gets goo on her feet, slowing her down. They discover a hole in the wall and step inside to investigate, but it's just goo splashing in Shia's face. They make their way down the hall again into a mysterious opening through the wall and it closes behind them. Hajime and Yui both realize that it's the same room that they've been, remembering the tombstone where Shia peed herself in shame. At the castle, the class is at the dining table having tea, discussing on where their teacher Aiko has gone off to. Yuka, the brown-haired girl, curious and feeling shamed about the death of Hajime, decides to go with her on the pursuit of her feeling guilty. One of her classmates stands up in anger, saying that she would be risking her life and that Hajime did something stupid, having no abilities and is already dead. She gets up agreeing with them, but knows that Hajime saved her life and everyone else and walks away, starting her adventure leaving. Back in the labyrinth, Hajime is breathing exhausted, entering a massive room guessing it's the Risen's lair. He knows and tells that the suit of knight's armor surrounding the room is probably a trap and walks into the room knowing the expectations. The knights emerge walking towards them, not wavered. While running, Hajime starts blasting the suits of armor, clearing a path for the group. They throw their shields at Shia, but Yui uses her dualies to stop the shields from hitting Shia. She tells her to stop being careless and fires more bullets at the suits of armor. With the team's effort and determination, they destroy all the suits in their way, making it up the stairs at the end of the room. Shia, with her strength, smashes the door open, leading the group safely, jumping onto a moving cube away from the suits. While resting on the cube, a giant platform from above shows up to have an armored person that has been talking to them from the intercom appear before them, greeting themselves. Hajime, Yui, and Shia are disappointed at the fact, knowing that it is a possibility that it is the final boss. Before the fight, Hajime questions the armored person concerning the fact that she isn't the real Milady Risen and wants to know who she is, saying that he read it in Oscar's notes. She is surprised, wanting to know if they were the ones who successfully cleared Oscar's labyrinths, but Hajime cuts her off. Hajime spills the beans and expresses the only reason why they're in the labyrinth to get their hands on more ancient magic. She demands to know the end goal and purpose for acquiring the ancient magic. He discloses that his main goal is to get home and has been looking for a form of ancient magic that allows people to jump between worlds. He wants to know if something he can find in this labyrinth and Milady doesn't want to tell. He fires rockets fast and informs Shia and Yui to break the core, saying it's basically the heart. The rockets connect and in the smoke, Shia smashes her hammer aiming for the face but gets blocked and slightly breaks the armor. While distracted, Hajime climbed onto the armor, shooting it, assuming that he badly wounded the armored boss. The boss gets back up, taunting them, showing them how little the damage they actually did. She commands a bunch of cubes to fall on top of them. Hajime tells them to grab onto him and he activates his quick dodge ability to avoid the cubes. In the distance, the boss thinks that they didn't survive the attack. Behind her, Hajime speaks, distracting her, while Yui uses her dualies to hit the boss. She tells them no matter how many times they try to break the armor, it doesn't matter. Not caring, he latches a harpoon grappler onto the spot where he shot last time and shoots it again, knocking the boss onto the ground. While on the ground, Yui uses Freeze Crystal Coffin to trap the boss in one place. Finally, Hajime uses the drill to trap the monster for good, and Shia finishes the monster, smashing the drill into the armor crystal, destroying it. The robot boss buys a little more time before passing, using her powers to talk to them. She warns them about the bad guys that Hajime might encounter going for the ancient magic, and tells them that they are going to have to fight and that Hajime will become the god killer. The boss tells him to live life the way he wants to, but the decision Hajime makes will hopefully be for the better of the world, and disappears. In the last area where they are receiving their ancient magic, they are all surprised and shocked that she is still alive and well in her actual form. The look on Hajime's group startles her and makes her walk backwards. Not having any more trouble, Yui signals Shia and she smashes her on the head. Hajime grabs the ancient magic, revealing it to be gravity magic. In disappointment of the labyrinth, he shakes her, wanting more materials and artifacts, lifting her up and shaking the valuable resources out of her. She doesn't care and pulls a rope, flooding the room and draining them within the water outside the labyrinth onto the surface. They arrive at a nearby town. The receptionist welcomes them into the inn. Hajime demands for one room, a meal, and a bath, being soaking wet. They fight over Hajime and in embarrassment pulls out his revolver and an evil smile. The next morning in the town, Ilwer Chang, the head of the Furin Adventurers Guild, is having a discussion with Hajime, Yui, and Shia, saying that he's been looking for them for a while now. Ilwer informs them about the rumors going around the town of Brook about 3 talented warriors easily making their way through Rising Gorge. He knows it's them and wants to make a request for them to go and sort it out. Hajime doesn't care and starts to get up and leave. But Ilwer persuades him to hear him out first before making his decision. While riding through the forest, he recalls the conversation in the town wanting him to find a specific person. Ilwer tells him that a party of adventurers headed to the northern mountains on a survey. Among the group being the third son of a count being Will Kudeta and wants him to rescue Will. Hajime assumes that the party was a big considering he's a count, and Ilwer goes on to explain that the group was quite skilled, but whatever was out there is quite dangerous and can hurt a lot of people as well. Hajime still doesn't care and states that he has goals that they need to accomplish as well. Ilwer persuades them once more, saying that if they get in trouble with the guild that he'll help out. With that being the case, Hajime makes 2 conditions. That being making the group status plates, will do anything they say, and he agrees. At the town, Lady Aiko and her group is working hard on the farms as a unit, plowing grass and setting water down for the seeds. After finishing their hard work, they celebrate together looking happy. After working hard, Aiko rewards them at dinner with paying for their food, getting ready to work harder tomorrow and dig in. The waiter walks up to them asking how the meal was. Aiko thanks him for the wonderful meal and says that he's glad to hear that sadly. He apologizes to Aiko and her students about there being no more spices left. He goes on to say that there's been trouble in the mountains and the traders can't get to the spices. He also states that there have been rumors about a gang of monsters that have suddenly appeared in the mountains, and a group of high-ranking adventurers ventured out and didn't return back. He's not worried though for the fact that they have guests today who were sent by the guild leader to search for the missing party. Hajime, Yui, and Shia are walking into the place where Aiko and the students are eating and take a seat. Aiko is confused about what they were talking about, and one of the students asks if the guy in the white hair is Hajime. She runs over asking for Hajime if it's him, and Hajime replies with sensei, and she starts tearing up, grateful. He gets up from his seat and tells her that she has the wrong guy and tries to leave, but she grabs him and tells him to wait. She starts repeatedly asking him questions about what has happened since his disappearance and to answer her. Yui steps in to tell her to get back since she's bothering Hajime, along with calming down a little bit. While sitting down at the table, all of his old classmates are peeping while they're having a conversation. While they're eating curry and rice, Aiko gets right to it and thankful that Hajime is alright and questions what happened after the day of him falling down the bridge. She repeatedly asks questions about it but ignores her, just saying that he worked really hard. In tears, she gets up demanding for actual answers, and a knight hears the conversation and punches his fist onto the table. Hajime tells him to mind his manners, and in a fit, the knight tells him to mind his own manners and to learn how to talk to his superiors properly. He makes fun of Shia's ears, threatening to cut off her ears, and gets mad at Yui for staring at him and calling him a small man. When he's about to draw his blade, Hajime shoots him in the shoulder, sending him backwards onto the ground. After the encounter, Aiko is healing the knight's wounded shoulder. Hajime cuts to the chase, saying that he has no interest in them or doesn't want them to get involved with them. Also stating that he has no plans on telling them what happened to him and to go do whatever since he doesn't care. He tells them not to get in his way, and if they do so, won't hesitate to kill them. Hajime makes sure Shia isn't hurt by what the knight said about her ears, and they depart out of the restaurant. The next morning, while it's really foggy, Hajime, Yui, and Shia are heading up towards the mountains to see what the problem is. While walking up, Aiko and her students are face to face with them. Aiko urges Hajime to take them along their journey up the mountains for a little extra help. He declines their offer and from his ring summons his bike to travel up faster. Before he leaves, Aiko whispers to him wanting to know more about what happened to him. He reluctantly agrees and says that she is stubborn, and they all depart into the fog towards the mountains in his truck. During their travels with the chief, they get out together and Hajime uses human location automatons, but they go by the name Ornis. He proceeds to say that they use gravity stones and an induction stone to think, and also has a peering stone that's connected to his eye so that he can see through it. He notices through his eye that he sees weird footprints on the ground. After traveling for a while, they notice a waterfall and Hajime senses someone nearby. He tells the group that there's someone behind the waterfall, and Yui uses fissure wave wind magic to slice the waterfall in half and reveal a cave behind it. His old classmates are amazed by her skills and make their way through the cave. Hajime sees a boy towards the end of the cave and makes his way over to him. He flicks his face for him to wake up, asking if he's Will. He immediately answers saying it's him. Hajime introduces himself to him and tells him that the Adventurers Guild ordered him to rescue him. While Aiko and one of the students is fixing on Will, he tells them that the monsters just kept coming and drove them into a corner. Then the Black Dragon attacked them, in sadness, not deserving to be alive compared to his group. He picks him up by the shirt and motivates him harshly to get up and to keep living on. After his encounter, they leave the cave in pursuit of the Black Dragon. While walking away from the waterfall, everyone notices in a panic something approaching them. The Black Dragon appears behind them, making a loud roaring sound, knocking Will on his back. The dragon tries going for Will, but Hajime picks him up and carries him away from the problem. The Black Dragon charges a powerful attack towards the students. Hajime pulls out a weapon and the dragon turns towards Hajime, both firing and canceling each other out. The dragon falling to the ground after the explosion, Hajime gets on top of the dragon, punching it with his fist in the gut. He pulls out his drill in the smoke and commands Shia to attack. She uses her hammer and smashes the dragon's face to the ground. After interrogating the dragon, it transforms into a human form, revealing to be a young lady pleading to Hajime to be more gentle towards her. She thanks Hajime for saving her. She introduces herself as Tio, a member of the Chloris clan of Dragonborn. Tio informs them about the monster army marching their way towards the lake. Hajime uses his right eye and Ornis to scout ahead, seeing large waves of monsters marching down the mountain. Aiko questions if he got a look of a robed man and says he didn't. He drags Will and they make their way back to Furin and tells his old classmates to warn the village of the monster invasion. If you guys like what you saw, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you in the next video. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.